بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Continuing with the ruling of social media, and the last thing we spoke about is communication through social media, and we spoke about, is it obligation to reply the salam if someone sent a salam to me over social media? And we said that saying the salam in Islam is sunnah, while replying the salam is an obligation, so we need to reply. Replying the salam does not mean that we are crossing the borders of communication. It is not permissible for a person to distance himself from his brother for 3 days. We spoke, is this applied for social media? And this is not unless there is a dispute or disagreement or argument or fight, and people blocked each other and so on. So that will be considered as part of the prohibition in the Hadith not to communicate or actually to leave communication with your brother for more than 3 days. Can someone claim family relationship, father or son, on Facebook, which is not correct? Meaning that, can someone send his name and relate himself to another family or to another father or to another, for example, he likes Salah ad-Din Ayyub, and then he says Muhammad, but his family name is not related to Salah ad-Din. He says Muhammad, the son of Salah ad-Din. So he's relating himself to Salah ad-Din in a way, but he's not actually the son of Salah ad-Din. So it's not permissible in Islam for the person to relate himself to other than his fathers. So not anyone apart from his father or his family. So he cannot relate himself to any of other families or fathers. Companies, you pay them money and they will raise the numbers of your followers. We spoke about this last time, and we spoke that lots of companies, you will pay them money, you will have more followers. If the reason behind it is to increase the knowledge for people and spread the goodness, that there is no harm with that. But if the reason is that to actually claim that you have more followers and to earn some money because you have more followers, so you will get money from promotions, then this is not allowed in Islam. And the Prophet ﷺ prohibited claiming a level that the person is not at, whether it's a level of money, level of network, level of knowing someone that he is not at. Some wants to increase the followers, to increase income. Of course, we said that this is not acceptable in Islam. You cannot increase the followers in order to increase the income for yourself. And even if your intention when you started posting some things that are of interest of people to gain more followers and followers, in your intention actually at the end to do some business with that is not acceptable. I know that, for example, in YouTube, if you have more followers or if you have more views, you will earn more money. If the intention was only for that and you started campaigning for that, then that is a defect in the intention behind spreading the goodness. Is it permissible to follow non-Muslims on their page? So, for example, is it permissible to follow Trump on his page? Of course, it is permissible to follow anyone on his page and for everyone. It's open for everyone. Is it permissible to follow atheists and people with bid'ahs on the Facebook or on Twitter or any of these? It's not acceptable unless the person wants to reply to their false claims, unless he feels on himself. So meaning that you can follow these people if you want to reply to their false claims, but you cannot follow them because you like their posts. that sometimes they are going to speak about anti-religion or anti-righteousness or anything that is not in the good cause. So you cannot follow them for that reason, but you can follow them if your intention is to correct behavior or to make some change. Can I like a skill in a non-Muslim on his page? So someone promoted that he has achieved an achievement, a degree or something. Can I like and put the like in his page? Of course, yes, if it is for the skill, not for the actual person or not for the thoughts of the person. So he said like, he was always posting some negative things, but he posted something about himself, that he progressed in his career, he got some, for example, degree or something, and you like that page, like that information, then there is no harm. Can I love a non-Muslim? Okay. Here, you can love the good act that he did. And we need to differentiate between two types of love. The emotional love and the love that is related to religion. Okay? The love that is related to religion, that love cannot be except for goodness. Okay? So if he did something that is good, meaning that he was feeding the poor, he's a non-Muslim. Can I love him? I can love the act of feeding the poor people. Okay? Our love is always related to our aqidah, our creed. The emotional love, it's permissible. Like, for example, we know that in Islam, a man can marry a non-Muslim woman. He will not marry her without actually loving her. So there will be a love between them, and Allah Azza wa Jal made it permissible for a man to marry people of the book. In the Quran, Allah Azza wa Jal stated that. So he's not going to be marrying her without being in love with her. Meaning that love to non-Muslims, the emotional love is not prohibited in Islam. It's acceptable in Islam. But can I love, for example, a non-Muslim who is doing bad things and good things? I need to refer that love, which is not an emotional love, it's a creed love, it's a aqidah love. I need to direct it towards the act, not towards the person. So skill, contribution, he contributed something for the community, and we send him, for example, a love photo, or having that feeling of love towards the good act. Can I use fake name on my page? It will depend on the reason. Some people maybe they are under some threat, or they are under some any harm, and they change their name to a different name, the son of pious, or the slave of God, or anything like this. There is no harm if there is a reason behind it, because at the end of the day, it's an identity that you want to show for the whole world, and you need to show your identity. And so, if the reason is valid for changing your name on social media, then there is no harm with that. Claiming another person's name. Lots of people, they open Facebook pages in the name of other people. So, can I do that? Of course, it's not permissible. And this is happening a lot, especially with some famous people who don't have accounts on Facebook or Twitter. People will open in their name and they will start using. That's a lie, and in Islam it's not accepted. Can it be for good reason to spread goodness? And this is sometimes, even if it's in the spreading of goodness, like for example, spreading Hadith or anything, it's a no, as this is the same reason for fabrication of Hadith. So it's not acceptable to speak or to act on behalf of anyone without the permission of that person. So if the person is alive, it's 100% a no. That you cannot open a page in his name or in her name and then post on their behalf or in their name. That's number one. If they allowed, then that's not a problem. Like nowadays, for example, there are lots of scholars who don't know how to use social media. So they allow some of those who are followers of them to open pages in their name, and they will say to them, post this and post that. So that in that case, it is permissible if the person allowed that to happen. Can I open a page in the name of a scholar and post his sayings and lessons? Yes, if it did not increase or reduce anything, and better to take permission. So, for example, I know a scholar who does not have social media, and he does not use social media, and he gives lots of lessons, and none is opening a page for him to post the goodness. Can I just open a page in his name, and then every lecture he is giving, I'm recording it and I'm posting it on social media? If I'm not adding or reducing anything of what he is saying, then that's fine. But it's better to take permission from the person before opening any page. Otherwise, this might be fabrication as well, as we said. It's like the Hadith fabrication. Someone registered himself on social media with different gender. So it happens a lot. Is this allowed? If there is a valid reason, then yes. But if there is no valid reason, then it's a no, because it's a lie. Calling myself on the page with one of the major scholars, like Imam Ahmad Ibn Hanbal. Someone opened their page and called it Imam Shafi'i, or Ahmad Ibn Hanbal, or Abu Hanifa. Can someone do that and open a page? This is the same of calling myself different name, unless there is no confusion. In this case, there is no confusion, because people will understand that I'm not Abu Hanifa or Imam Ahmad. And there is no confusion, and he is going to post the sayings of that scholar without changing. So he is opening, for example, the page on the social media about in the name of Imam Ahmad Ibn Hanbal, and then he's always posting the sayings of Imam Ahmad Ibn Hanbal, quotations from his books or anything. If he is not changing anything, increasing, decreasing, then there is no harm. The moment he puts his opinion on that page, that is the moment that he is in wrong. So he cannot post, if he is putting a name of a previous scholar, he only can put the quotations from his books that he wrote only. Is recommendation a witness? So, you know how on social media, you recommend someone to someone. Correct? Does that happen? Is it a witness? You know how it's the Prophet ﷺ said about the grave sins. One of the grave sins is the false witness. So when you recommend someone to someone on social media, is this considered actually a witness, and can be, if that person that you recommended was not a pious person, can be a false witness? The answer is no. This is just normal recommendation. You are not witnessing about anything on that person. You are just recommending for someone to visit this page or to follow that page and so on. So this is not going to be considered. It's just like an advice. It's not going to be considered in Islam as a witness. Can I recommend someone who has mistakes but has as well goods? When you are recommending, you need to mention the good skills in him. Because if you are, for example, recommending someone, like we are recommending someone who has good nasheeds and bad nasheeds, bad song. So what to do with that person? Can I recommend him so people can visit his page, but I know on his page he's posting songs and he's posting nasheeds. Can I recommend him? Well, I can recommend under condition that I'm mentioning the good and the bad. So I cannot recommend without mentioning that goodness in that person. I need to be specific. Otherwise, I'm recommending people to go to his web page or to his social media page, and they're going to see some wrong things that I'm going to be accountable for. Can a woman mention characteristics of her Muslim sister on social media? We know that in Islam, it's not permissible to actually to explain the shape or the beauty or the characteristics of another woman to a man who is a foreigner. So how does she look like, or how are her characteristics, or any of that? No one has the right in Islam to explain how a woman looks like to a foreigner. That's not allowed in Islam. So on social media as well, even a woman mentioning about another woman to a man, even on social media, everyone is going to see. Men, women are going to see. So she cannot post anything about another woman, any of her characteristics, unless they are Islamic characteristics, but not how beautiful she is or how she looks like. So speaking of how honest she is, how trustworthy she is acceptable. But speaking about how beautiful, how tall, how eyes color, or any skin color, that cannot be mentioned, not verbally and not on social media. Can someone post about a woman that she is a chick or similar terms? Of course, this is unacceptable in Islam. Any term that you clue about a woman or a man, that's not going to be in your good deed scale, but in your bad deed scale. So it's not acceptable to mention any of these explanations about the person. If the person mentions on his profile wrong information, is this acceptable in Islam or not? Of course, it depends on the reason why. Why is he mentioning wrong information? If he is mentioning he is living in Melbourne, but he is living in Adelaide, the reason why, because he wants to look for a job, or because he wants to look for followers in Melbourne instead of Adelaide, that's not a valid reason to lie. But if there is a reason for saying something different than what you live, then, for example, for security reasons or for some expectation of harm, you are mentioning false information on your social media, then that's fine. Apart from that, it's going to be considered as a lie. How can we make permissible some acts on social media and putting conditions when we know that people will not follow the conditions? So what we said is, like remember when we spoke about interaction between males and females of opposite gender on social media, that it is permissible under conditions. Remember what we said about the conditions of writing? That the wording need to be complied with the rules of Islam. When we spoke about the voice, we added something. We added that the wording needs to be according to Islam, and there is no inclination because of the voice, there is no movement of the heart. And when we spoke about the video, added that everybody is abide with the dress code of Islam. So all of these, okay, we know that people will not abide to these. So if we tell them, yes, you can speak to the opposite gender. Yes, you can send messages to the opposite gender, so long as you are not breaking the regulations of Islam. We know that the majority of people will do. The majority of people will have these feelings inside their hearts when they are communicating with the opposite gender. Can we use that as an excuse to say it's not permissible to interact between opposite gender, and that's what's happening nowadays. Lots of people, for example, you will hear lots of fatwas that private communication on social media is khalwa. Have you heard about that? You know what's khalwa? Seclusion, which is applied on the ruling of khalwa, or a man and a woman alone, because they are claiming that they are chatting without anyone seeing them and so on. Well, that's not a khalwa, that's not a seclusion, and they are not seeing each other, and they are not bodies next to each other to consider this as khalwa. So you will find lots of scholars, they are taking a ruling of Islam or a source of ruling in Islam called sadd al-dhara'a, which is preventing the excuses for things to happen. And these are things like Imam Ahmad Ibn Hanbal methodology, he takes with this a lot. So anything that might be a reason for a future sin, he will close it. But the general ruling is that it is acceptable. And in here we said that we spoke about the general ruling about the social media. We are not speaking about specific cases. So if there is a question about specific cases, then we can address them. The rule should be shown regardless if people followed or did not follow. We don't care. Everyone is going to be accountable on his own self. Someone taking photos of himself while doing worships and posting on social media. Like someone is posting his recitation of the Quran in the Taraweeh live on social media. Correct? Lots of people do this. Someone is giving his Friday khutbah, and then before he starts, he put it live on social media and he's giving Friday khutbah on social media. Or he will record it and then post it on social media. It's not permissible, as it is usually for showing off, unless he wants to teach people some rulings. But to make it as a continuous habit, that everything I do, I just record and put on social media, that might be going towards a show-off. If the intention behind that you are targeting actually some audience and you want to teach them some stuff, then that's fine. If you are seeing that people are following you and watching these videos, and then you are targeting to change in some characteristics of them, then yes. But if it is just a habit that everything I do, I just record and put on social media, then that might be going under the show-off. That's why we need to be careful about our intention of doing any of this. Of course, posting any irrelevant porn photos or any photos without full cover, for example, can a woman post herself without full cover? It's not allowed for any woman to be on the internet without full cover. Lots of times we have, for example, communication with our relatives over the Skype, correct? The moment we go online, the moment we are an open page, meaning that anyone can see. You know that, for example, if your phone is connected to the internet, your camera is accessible. Anyone can access your camera if he has the skills and the intention to access. Can access the microphone of the mobile. So if a woman is actually looking at her relatives, speaking to them over the video on the internet without a cover, then that's actually not permissible, because there's a big danger that people can see her without that cover. So that's why it's very important for our females to cover themselves on any internet communication. Even the camera of the computer, the laptop. The camera of the laptop, and if someone has skills, if the laptop is connected to the internet, they can access the camera if they have the skills to hack. And so you can actually, anyone can be seen from that camera. So with this high-tech time of the human beings, we need to be careful of exposing anything of ourselves on social media or on the internet.
But is that while the camera is in use, or is that at all times?
At all times. If the computer is online with the internet connection, people, if they are skilled, they can hack your computer and access your camera. So, and especially if you hook to a Wi-Fi anywhere, people can just even some cases I saw. Actually, it was really amazing that the person just went into a hotel and then hooked to the Wi-Fi of the hotel. And someone actually straight away has a software, sent an email from his personal email to someone else asking him to pay him money or to pay money and so on. And he showed him that the moment you hook to that Wi-Fi, I had access to everything on your laptop and on your mobile phone. And I was able actually to send emails, to do lots of things. It's very dangerous nowadays. The security on internet is almost zero. So it's very important for us to keep our cover for the women on internet at any time when we are on video calls or anything. Okay, can a woman put her personal photo on her page? So, Facebook page, the woman puts her photo. Can she put her personal photo? So long as she is modest with her appearance and following the rules of dress, no makeup, nothing, no, you know how nowadays people take a photo of themselves with different sides to attract or with inclination or with softness. If the photo was a modest photo, just normal photo, because she wants to show her identity on her page, then there is no harm in that. So long as the photo is modest, she is covered and she's not putting makeup and everything is in the right way, then there is no harm with that. Can a woman post a photo of love heart or beautiful scene on her page? Sometimes, for example, a lady who is not married, she posts some things that are emotional, romantic on her page. Can she do that? Well, there's no harm with that. Not to be known she is romantic. If her intention is people can come and just come to speak to her or come to know her because she looks like a romantic woman, then that intention makes that posting not permissible. So as you can see, the general ruling of almost everything is okay. Because as we said, in Islam, everything is halal, except if there is an evidence that it's haram. And in ibadat, worships, everything is haram, except if there is a evidence that it is halal. Okay? So this is part of the normal things. In the normal things, everything is halal, permissible, unless there is something to control it or to say it is haram. Can a woman take a photo of her hand and put it on her page? Like she is putting some henna on her hand and she wanted to post on Facebook that she is doing henna, and she posted that hand, a photo of that hand, so long as she doesn't show her wrist. Is this how we write wrist? So long as she's to this, which is what is permissible from her to show, which is the face and the hands, so long as she's abide for that, then inshallah there is no harm. Woman can't appear on the internet without full cover, as we said. Is there any problem with the selfies? Well, only if he feels proud of himself. So if the person, like, for example, lots of people, they do these selfies. And the first thing they do, Okay, I remember my neighbor when he was farewelling me in Malaysia. He came to me and he said, Brother Hani, I want to take a photo with you. I said, okay, no problems. He's an old man, maybe he's retired, maybe 65, 67 years old, gray hair. I said, okay, so he came to my house and then I stood next to him and then he took a photo, a selfie with me. And then he said, wait, he clicked on the photo and then he looked at himself. I look good. Okay, thank you very much for the selfie. So the main thing for him was, he wants to see how he looked like in the photo. So this is another thing. When you look at a photo, ask yourself a question. What do you look at? Do you look at yourself? When you take a photo, for example, you say, I want to take a selfie with the brothers. Okay, take a selfie with the brothers in order to remember them. Okay, when you open the photo, what do you look at? Do you look at yourself or do you look at the brothers to remember them? And that will give you an indicator about whether the selfie is actually permissible or not. Is it proud? Because if I am looking at myself in every photo I look at, meaning that I'm proud of myself. And that's where it can be something that is not permissible. Posting a romantic photo of husband and wife. Can a husband and the wife walking on the beach ask their kid to take a photo of them and then post it on social media? Well, can't put his hand on her shoulders, for example, or on her breast or something, but okay to catch her hand and walk on the beach, for example, and take a photo of them, but not more than that. It needs to be modest. So they can, for example, be sitting on the beach, they took a photo of themselves, they posted it on Facebook or whatever, but it's better not to, but it's not haram. Ruling is not haram. Unless the person is putting, as we said, his hand on her shoulder or on her waist or anything, then this is not permissible. Does the person take reward for posting things about oppression of people or cases similar? Like we have, for example, oppression happening here or there, like for example, what happened with the case in Sydney last week? Can I post that video on my Facebook page that people can see and watch? Of course, if it's something that has some violence, it's not permissible to put it on social media. Especially, for example, for that sister that was punched. It's her right not to be seen on social media. Because if this happened to me or anyone of my family, I don't want anyone to see what happened. So it's the right for the person not to be shown or to be seen on social media. So anything that is oppression or that is violent or anything, it should not be posted on social media. You can post some information, but you cannot post some videos about people, for example. I remember some time before when there was something called ISIS, and they used to do beheading for people in Iraq and Syria. Some people on social media used to post the videos of beheading. This is not acceptable at all in Islam. You cannot post anything that is violent. You cannot post anything that is, even if it is a harm that happened, oppression that happened to someone, Muslim or non-Muslim, and there's a video about that, you cannot post it because it's the dignity of the person. You need to respect the dignity of that person. Can someone post dua on the page? Sometimes when I see lots of people sending dua, you feel the person needs, first of all, to see if he is making dua alone, like he is making dua on social media or on WhatsApp groups or anything. If he is just making dua on social media, that's hypocrisy. Why? Because it's only in front of people. If he has his own dua between him and Allah Azza wa Jalla, and then having that dua on social media so people can say Ameen, Ameen, and he get reward from that, then there is no harm. But the person needs to be, as we said, balanced. He has something in front of people, but he has something between him and Allah. Can I post a photo of someone else without permission? If dead, non-person, then can, but if alive, you need to have a permission. That's where everything can be applied underneath. So you want to post a photo of someone who was oppressed, and you need to take permission. You can post information, but you cannot post something.
Just want to remember this moment.
I remember this moment.
Taking a selfie with
Not to put on social media, by the way.
no, without permission.
So you can, if the person passed away, you are putting, for example, a photo of Muhammad Khalil al-Husari. You know Muhammad Khalil al-Husari? Ahmad Khalil al-Husari? Yeah, the reciter of the Quran. You are putting a photo of that reciter, or Abdul Basit, who passed away. You can post a photo and say, this was the reciter of the Quran, these are the verses, these are some examples of the recitation. That's no problem. But if the person is alive, you cannot post without the permission of that person.
What about if that person is famous and alive?
You need to have permission for everything.
So with that photo, that person's photos on a lot of other people's.
You have to have permission to post anything for anyone. It's the right of the person, because it's his photo. He needs to. Posting photos or incidents to expose others. So you saw someone doing something wrong, someone took a photo of him, posted it on social media, you shared it. That's not permissible.
Say, for example, some local charity organizations, when they go overseas, obviously they take videos and photos.
You need to take permissions from them.
Yes, I know.
Yes. To ask them, I'm going to put this on the video, people will see them. Do you agree on that? They need to agree.
What if it's like a big group?
Yeah, you need to say, guys, we are going to put this on social media. Anyone object? Please leave, because we are going to take a photo of everyone. You have to get pen. In Islam, your right is your right. The other's right is their right. You look at it like this. It's their right. This is his photo, his body. It's his right. You cannot give that right to yourself without taking permission from the person. So, ask you, he has money. Can you take the money from him without his permission? His property. And his body is his property. So we cannot actually post anything for photos of people without taking their permissions.
What if you're doing something and they happen to walk, like there's people behind you, if you're...
That's not intended.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, yes, sister.
What if it's a child?
Yeah, your child is okay. If he is small, like big. If he is accountable, you need to take his permission. Okay? Like my mom, sometimes she takes a photo, me and her. I will say, please, don't post it anywhere. That's my right. Leave it with you. If you want to remember me, open the photo, look at me. That's fine. But to post it on any social media, I say no. Because that's my right. And that's the right of anyone who is accountable. Because he is old enough, adult. So sharing any information about anyone that has done something nasty should not be. To expose him should not be. Okay? Photos with uncovered women. Can someone post a photo of uncovered women on social media? It's better to cover her as if someone was affected with her, then he is participating. If old woman, then no problem. Africans that live without covering their body, then will be treated like the slaves. Okay, here are a couple of rulings. Number 1. Can I post a photo of a woman or a video of a woman uncovered, the person needs to be careful. The condition, if someone saw that photo and was affected, so he started being inclined, he liked the photo, then you are going to be participating in the sin. If you know that nobody will be affected, then there is no harm. Okay? So that's rule number one. Number two, sometimes Ahmad went to Africa. They might have gone through people who don't wear clothes. Women who don't wear clothes. Can we actually take photos of these women who don't wear clothes except for a minimum? Because that's their nature, that's their tradition. The scholars, they said you treat them like the slaves. There are rulings for the slaves. The slaves' awrah is from the belly to the knee. Apart from that, it's not a awrah. So the person can post photos of them in the jungle. But it's better to mention the ruling that the scholars have said about these people, that they are treated according to the fiqh, like the slaves. That's why I'm posting, so people don't get confused. Can I like a photo with humanitarian purpose but contains uncovered woman? So there is a group, we are going outside for some humanitarian work, and there are uncovered women, and then took photos and then posted them on social media. Can I say like? Well, can if you define what you like from the photo to show that you don't like other parts. So you cannot say like for everything. So for example, you can say like for a comment or for the humanitarian fact, but you cannot say like the thumb up for everything, for the photo, because there are some things in the photo that are not permissible. Correct, Shamil? So it's very crucial for us to look at how we put the thumb.
In case people might misinterpret you liking a photo that has something that...
Yes, you have to identify exactly what are you liking, so you don't confuse people. It's very important. Can I post photo of torture of people? Yes, unless the photos showed uncovered men or women, then it's not. So it should not be without, as we said at the beginning, if the person is seen and known, you have to take his permission to do that. If it is general from far, nobody is realizing who is the person, but you want to highlight the incident, you can, so long as there is no uncovered. Yes.
Just on this, there are photos that obviously you can take with people that aren't aware. And then, for example, there's websites that you buy images from, stock images, and these are photos that get taken, obviously, in a photo shoot, and they know that the photos are going to get put online to be sold.
If they know and they give the permission, no problem.
No problem.
Yeah. Posting photos with some awrat about someone done something wrong, but he was in a position where the awrah was exposed. That cannot be exposing any awrah for a man or a woman. So any incident that happened and the awrah was exposed from a man or a woman cannot be showed on social media. Can social media become source of knowledge? Yes, but not the only source. Nowadays, people only learn from social media. And that's why they actually, you see them not really frequently going to attend lessons or going to attend lectures. Why? Because they are addicted to social media and everything they are learning from social media. Even this video that's recorded, people sometimes they just, okay, I don't want to go, and then they watch the video on YouTube. Well, this is okay. You will get reward, but it's not going to be like the reward when you are within the class. Can I post hadith without checking on the authenticity of that hadith? That happens a lot. Someone will send a hadith to someone, or someone will send a story to someone, and that person will pass it to the other. It's very dangerous. It's a no. The person will take the accountability in front of Allah if the story or the hadith was not correct. And that will be applied like what the Prophet ﷺ said about the lie that will be spread in the whole world. So it is very important to check on the information. We hear lots of stories. We hear lots of news that were fake. And we cannot repost anything unless we are checking. Is the person taking the same reward for listening to a scholar on social media or face-to-face? So I'm watching the videos of the scholars, or I'm face-to-face, yes, and might be more reward as more people might see it, and it is according to their time. So, for the scholar, will take more reward. For the person, it will depend on how much effect he had. Can I quote hadith from a scholar I heard on social media? Yes, if you refer it to him. So you say, I heard so and so saying this hadith, and then quote that hadith. Can I spend long hours? What's this? Lots of typos. Make sure you correct the typos, Chandler.
I'm doing it as you go.
Can I spend long hours on social media? Of course, anything with wasting is prohibited by Allah. So you cannot waste your time on social media, like spending hours a day, 2 or 3 hours every day on social media. Ask yourself how much time you spend on your phone, and then you will know that this is wasting of time, and this is prohibited in Islam. So wasting time on social media is prohibited in Islam. Like lots of people, what happens with them is they start just flicking for no reason. Going from a page to a page, from a page to a page. That's prohibited because now there is no reason behind what you are doing. So that's not allowed in Islam. That's going to be considered a waste of time, and you will be accountable in the Day of Judgment for wasting your time. Giving opinion on social media during discussions. Lots of times on social media, someone will post a question, and everybody will start just arguing and answering and giving, sometimes or most of the times, giving fatwas. People, they don't understand that when they give a ruling of something, they are giving a fatwa. And if someone gave a fatwa, and even if his answer was right, he is wrong. Unless he has the knowledge for that fatwa or that answer about the ruling of Islam that he gave. It can, if it is not related to Islamic ruling, so he's giving his opinion about normal matters. Otherwise, it's from the grave sins to give a ruling about something on social media without having the knowledge. So the best case scenario for this, and the best actually safest way is to quote from where you got the answer. And then you will be safe. Can I reply and show disagreement on scholar opinion? Someone posted a scholar opinion, I start saying, well, I disagree with his opinion. Well, I cannot do that unless I am at his level. But if I have another opinion from a scholar at his level, then I post the opinion of that scholar. I cannot say I disagree with this scholar because I don't have the level of knowledge of that person. And that's a disaster that happens nowadays on social media. Everyone is a scholar. Everyone gives ruling, everyone gives his opinion, everyone disagrees with scholars as if we are just in a big mess and no control on that, that needs to stop. Posting fatwa or knowledge from a scholar without mentioning his name, it's an obligation to mention his name, because this is relating to the person that gave the fatwa. Retweet for information without checking. Okay, write that you copied it, and if you can differentiate authentic from none, then don't post. So you write copied from this location, and so you are safe.
Regarding reposting knowledge that might not be authentic, this is based on the fact that it's by someone who might be a normal person. As an example, with someone that is a person of knowledge or a student of knowledge or an imam or a scholar, you can share this without, you don't need to check, correct?
Yeah, you can retweet, but you mention that I retweeted from him or reshared from him, this is coming from his page. So you need to refer it to the person that you took it. Or I'm not sure if sharing actually shows from where you shared it. If that's the case, that's it. That's more than enough. That it will show from where the source is. So the whole point is that you remove the accountability from yourself. You should not be held accountable for anything except from what you know is right. Position of scholars towards participation on social media. Every scholar says, based on the current situation, then participation in social media is permissible, as we said at the beginning, but every scholar will participate depending on his capability. So some scholars are very active on social media, some scholars are zero on social media. You will find them, for them, there is no page on social media. Can I write with slang language on social media? Yes, I can. No harm with that. Spending time on the scholars' pages has same reward like sitting in the lesson from attending of the angles and the mercy. It has reward, but not like attending in person. You remember the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ? That however a group gathered in the house of Allah Azza wa Jal, they are learning the book of Allah, then the angels will come and they will have the tranquility and the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal and so on. Will I have the same of that while I am watching a video on social media? The answer is no. Will I get reward for listening to that lesson? The answer is yes. But will that reward be like the reward of sitting in the class like what we are sitting now? The answer is no. Okay? And even, I will add to that a small flavor, the effect on the person's life is different. The person will feel the effect if he is with the teacher, not like is behind this screen. Posting about every achievement or plan. If the reason is to show some work so people don't repeat same work, then fine. And to benefit people from it, then fine. So for example, you are writing a book about the raising of the kids in the West. So you are posting that I am writing a book about the raising of the kids. Your intention about that is so people don't reinvent the wheel. Don't the West. Okay, people say if there is someone who's writing a book about that, I will direct myself to write a book about something else. Or if people are going to benefit from what you are posting, then that's fine. But if anything you are doing in your life you are posting, then it's going to be just a waste and lack of seriousness in the life. Posting personal information about others, it is a trust from whoever gave you information. If the person doesn't want information to be posted, then it should not. Can I check behind someone to see what he is saying or up to? Some student. Can I check the Facebook of my wife to check what is she posting? To check where is she up to? Or my son. or someone that I know I want to see, or someone, whether a boy or a girl, to check their status. This is not supposed to happen, because we are not supposed to follow the mistakes of people. If I am following in order to teach them, that's fine. But it's not supposed to be for everything. Like Umar al-Khattab once was walking, and then he heard some people inside the garden that they were drinking alcohol. He entered on them and he said, "What are you doing?" They said to him, "What are you doing? Don't you know that we are doing this sin between us and Allah prohibited you to check and look for the mistakes of people. You cannot check behind the people to find their mistakes." That's Allah Azza wa Jal said, وَلَا تَجَسَّسُوا. What's tajassasu? Investigate to know the depth of where the person is up to. We are not supposed to do that tajassus on people. Can the government check on people what they post? This can be considered tajassus, which is investigating on people, unless there is a case and they are looking for evidence. But in general, it should not. If I knew someone is hacking my social media page, can I send him a virus to destroy his computer? Yes, to defend yourself, unless you can defend with less than that. If you can defend with less than that, put some, what do you call it? Firewall or something like that, then you can. But don't harm people unless you don't have any other option. Mentioning someone on social media in a bad way is called backbiting, like exactly mentioning him in front of the people. So backbiting on social media is the same like the wrong that. Can I make fun of someone on social media? If he made fun of you, then in the same amount you have the right to do that. He made fun of you on the social media. If you can control it, then you have the right. Allah Azza wa Jal said, وَلَمَنْ انْتَصَرَ بَعْدَ ظُلْمِهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ مَا عَلَيْهِمْ مِنْ سَبِيلٍ. And those who took revenge after they were oppressed, there is no harm, no blame on them. But Allah mentioned another type, وَلَمَنْ صَبَرَ وَغَفَرَ إِنَّ ذَلِكَ مِنْ عَزْمِ الْأُمُورِ. And for those who were patient and forgave, then that's the highest level. So the best, Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying to forgive and not to do. But if someone oppressed someone, and you see it was clear, fake, and someone replied with that same amount, then that's acceptable. Making fun of political figures. Can we make fun of the Prime Minister or any? This is a very wide thing, and Islam cannot say yes or no specifically for, unless it's the case by case, what you need to post, what you want to post on the social media.
But you need his permission if you want to post his photos.
His photo is public anyway, so he's giving permission to everyone to be posting his photo. That's a different story. Curbing in these nets. What's the definition of curbing in these nets? What's curbing? Cursing. Cursing. Subhanallah. Lots of typos. So, can I curse on the social media, on the internet? Of course, it's the same applied like on normal life, as Islam prohibits cursing and saying any bad word. Can I post flirting poetries? You know the flirting poetries that speaks about women or anything? If general and not directed towards someone or moves the desire, then yes. Original, like for example in the Arabic language, there are lots of old poetries from pre-Islam, and they were describing the beauty of the women in general. They are not directed towards someone. Then that's fine to post some of these. Saving the mistakes of people to post them at any time to expose them is prohibited in Islam. If someone posts something that he made a mistake and then he deletes it, we cannot repost it. Do you understand? So someone made a mistake and then he regretted and he deleted it. But I actually took a photo of his post and then I reposted his mistake. That's prohibited in Islam. That should not be. Can social media be used as an evidence for crimes? Yes, if the post was confirmed that it's coming from the person himself and not someone hacked him. If someone incitement on social media led to a crime, is he going to be sharing the punishment? So he said something like what happened previously in some cases where actually ISIS used to post some weird and violent statements to encourage people to attack. If an attack happened based on that encouragement, is the person going to share the punishment? Well, the life punishment is a no. So he's not going to be accountable for committing a crime. If the person actually, with his encouragement, someone committed a crime, he's not going to be accountable, but the sin is a yes. Allah Azza wa Jal will hold him accountable unless he mentioned the name of the person directly that was killed, for example, then yes, he will be sharing the life punishment with him. So someone directed, kill that person, and someone from the public went and killed that person, then they will share the punishment in this dunya, they will be accountable for that.
Question regarding sharing oppressive scenes. You said about, is it allowed or not allowed? What about from the door of, if by spreading this, it begins to create some kind of social impact, whether it's anxiety, depression, things like this, where people, by seeing all these things and sharing and watching all these videos, it starts to impact them. Is this?
At the end of the day, there is no one answer for these questions. I look at it from the point of it's the right of the person to be protected by his dignity. So his dignity is protected by Islam. So if the person allowed for this to be shared in public, then that's his right. He can allow that to happen. But in general, we cannot share unless we have the permission from the person. Especially with things that are related to some people who got punished or some attacked or anything. That's a very disgracing situation that you need to take permission from the person.
Like, for example, it might be from China, from this, but all these scenes that people are just sharing because they think they're doing this, sharing awareness, but
you can share awareness through some of the, for example, the post and explaining what's happening, but try not to share things like these violent.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you will find people who will giving you a fatwa. Yes, you can share to raise awareness. You will find people, but I'm more comfortable to not share anything about people who people know without actually taking permission of them. But if they, like, for example, the people of Uyghur and some videos that go around about the people of Uyghur, they themselves want these videos to come to the media so the people can see their case. In that case, there is no harm. But if it's a specific case, then you need permission from the specific person. If it's a community that's under oppression, like for example, Burma or Rohingyas under oppression, they themselves want the whole world to know about it. So they don't mind by their nature that to be exposed.
So based on this answer, the question I asked before about if, say for example, you're on a humanitarian trip, like if there's an emergency and the people want to be...
That's a different story, because humanitarian, I might not want people to see me that I am taking some donations.
Even if they are in need, like for example Burma or the drought in Somalia or something like that?
Even for humanitarian, exactly, especially for humanitarian, then actually some people, they have dignity and you need to protect their dignity.
Okay.
Okay. Did anyone post anything on the questions?
Yeah. Sorry, I should have posted it.
What?
My.
Questions? Can you explain what is? Can husband and wife hold each other's hand in public? Yes, they can. We said that they can post on Facebook or social media, but that's the maximum. It should not be more than that. I don't do it, by the way. But we are speaking about the general rule. Can you give some example of when one can privately message the opposite gender and vice versa? We said that, for example, if someone wants, it seems like he thinks that a woman can be a good, for example, candidate for a wife, he messaged her privately to know some information in a very modest way, then he can. A woman as well can. If there is something that is related to a need, for example, someone who is specialized in sort of doctor, he's a doctor in something, and someone asked him a question privately about that issue, no harm on that, even between opposite genders. What is considered as awrah for the slave women from the belly to the knee? When you mention slaves, is this category of people applicable in this day and age? It's not the whole concept of slavery will be applied on them. But the concept of what can you look at and what you cannot look at, the slaves, the awrah is applied on them only. Not all the rules of slaves, but the awrah of the slave only. Do you understand what I'm saying? It needs to be clear. Does a parent need permission to use her son's things, for example, shoes, phone, car? The Prophet ﷺ said, "Anta wa malika li abik." You and your wealth is for your father. So the father should be able to use anything of the kids' assets or cars or anything without taking permission. Okay? What is the ruling on people who post photos on their social media while using filters to edit the features of their face? Like those who post their faces after 40 years, or how they look after...
No, like the apps that make your eyes bigger.
More beautiful. That will depend on the reason why the person is doing it.
Lengthening your beard.
If the person is actually wants to fool the other person, then that's not permissible, because that's lies. But if it is just fun or whatever, then that can be from 11. If you scroll through social media for the purpose of finding out what is happening in society, the world around you, is this prohibited? Of course it's not prohibited to find what's happening around you. That's fine. So long as it is reasonable. Not spending hours on flicking on social media. Okay, you can flick to see, for example, you know your connections. You want to see what's happening with this person, with that person, with that person. No problems. Going through the Facebook page or whatever. No harm. Yes.
I know someone who's famous on social media. He spends 6 to 7 hours a day on social media, but for him it's like a job. So he does lots of social media stuff, and then people invite him to come to events and pay him money. People invite him to support their cause and pay him money. And
that's a different story.
He considers it like his job.
If everything that he is doing on social media is beneficial, then that's not a problem. If he is promoting himself, promoting his jobs, promoting his through social media, then that's not a problem. That's part of his work. What we are talking about is wasting time.
Right.
Meaning that using social media for no reason except that I don't have anything to do, so I'm opening social media.
But for work, for socializing, for connections, for this, for that.
Yeah, no problems with that, so long as you are not overusing it. It needs to be in a reasonable way. Like you cannot allow, for example, yourself to use social media every day for hours, and you are not opening a beneficial book or the book of Allah Azza wa Jal for 5 minutes. So, like every time you want to open and just flick for no reason, ask yourself, did you open the book of Allah Azza wa Jal? Did you read some pages from the book of Allah? Okay, so the amount that you read in the Quran, that's what I usually say to people. The amount that you read in the Quran, open on social media. You read 20 minutes in the Quran, open 20 minutes on social media. No problem. Go ahead with that. It's not a fatwa, it's just like a criteria to use. Okay? Any question? Jazakallah khair.